Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, holes! Only joking. I'm going to tell you all about the real reason why WWE have pulled Murphy from television.
A title match has been pulled from NXT TakeOver this weekend.
Bad Bunny equals money. We're going to tell you all about how much ridiculous Scrooge McDuck volumes of coinage this man has sold in merch.
And Booker T shoots down rumours of him returning to the ring at WrestleMania. I'm Adam Wilborn.
I'm Andy Murray.
And this is the news.
I think that was probably the worst introduction I have ever done myself. And think of the ground that covers. Not on good form today, but how can you be on good form after whole day? Murphy. Why is Murphy off television at the moment? Well. This is a complicated situation in which Murphy has become a fly in the spider web of Steve Cutler's WWE release. How's that for a thing? Dave Meltzer, Wrestling Observer Radio, talking about the situation yesterday. So the plan was for WWE, they were building towards this, they were kind of progressing in this direction on TV. It was supposed to be Murphy, Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio versus Baron Corbin, Wesley Blake, and Steve Cutler. 3-on-3. Now, this plan went in the shredder when Cutler and Blake were removed from television. Meltzer explicitly states on this show, on Wrestling Observer Radio, that Cutler is the first guy to get fired from a wrestling promotion for the ongoing Global Bastard. He tested positive. He was taken off TV when he tested positive. Instead of going down a different route and maybe keeping Murphy involved in the program, WWE decided instead, let's run Dominic and Rey versus Baron Corbin 2-on-1. This also makes Wesley Blake a casualty in this whole situation because he's done nothing wrong, and for the second time in like a year, he's been pulled off TV for it. But Murphy is the big casualty we're talking about here. It's a knock-on effect of this whole situation. That storyline was scrapped, and WWE, according to Meltzer, just don't have any other ideas for the guy at the moment. So they went through that whole rigmarole with Seth Rollins and the Mysterio family and Aaliyah, that romance thing that kicked off. They went through all of that, and then they're like, oh wait, well, we have to cancel this, and we can't come up with anything else. So creative's got nothing for you, pal. Get off TV at the moment. Murphy's last match on WWE television was on the 4th of December. It was a loss to Baron Corbin. And the whole situation sucks. It really sucks for the guy. He tweeted the other day, hey, guess I'm the best kept secret again. And he's kind of right. Very talented dude. Had some, good TV time last year alongside Seth Rollins. Some good opportunities. Maybe not striking out on his own after that like people would have wanted, but he was on TV, and that was a step forward from a lot of what he was doing before that. So situation sucks for him. Again, he's done nothing wrong. He's just kind of a domino that has fallen with this Steve Cutler situation and the release. And I hope to see him back on TV soon because he's way too talented to be gathering dust on a shelf.
Yeah, you've got to feel so sorry for Murphy and for Blake, as you said there. It's none of this is their fault. I mean, I'm not that bothered about losing out on the storyline of Murphy and the Mysterios, and I'm glad we got a really good payoff for that Aaliyah bollocks anyway. But, could there be an argument here, Andy, that you could make one of the best wrestling TV shows around with talent not being utilised on WWE TV? And I mean, like, Raw and SmackDown, because, like, Ricochet's always on main event, isn't he? Murphy's, like, he must be so annoyed as well watching SmackDown at the moment and watching, like, Cesaro and Daniel Bryan and Nakamura and all the others just having these great TV matches in between all the wackiness on SmackDown. And yet, like you say, creative has nothing for him.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff. You're absolutely right. If you took this list of wrestlers who aren't doing anything really at the moment, Aleister Black's another one. Yeah. You could have an absolutely banging wrestling TV show. The WWE situation is that the roster is bigger and more talented than ever before in terms of like the volume of just great wrestlers. Maybe not top level stars, but in terms of great wrestlers on this roster. It's ridiculous. And yet, even though they have 400 hours of weekly TV, seemingly, they can't find spots for them. Sucks, really sucks for these men and women who find themselves in these situations. So, hope it turns around.
Yes, for Murphy and, as you said, for Blake. Right, let's talk about NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day. It goes down this weekend, of course, with some bad news coming out overnight, and that is that it appears that we aren't going to get the North American Championship match, Johnny Gargano versus Kushida. This was sort of revealed by one of Gargano's stablemates in the way, Austin Theory. He released a video after, I don't know, popping around the Garganos for tea or something, and said, well, Gargano, Johnny TakeOver is not going to be at TakeOver this weekend. He blamed Kushida for it. He basically said he was going to kick Kushida's ass on NXT tonight as a result of all that. So currently, all we know is that match isn't on. We're not going to sit here, Andy, and speculate the reasoning behind this, of course. No. But right now, TakeOver still has 4 great matches seemingly heading towards it. The NXT Championship match, Finn Balor, of course, against Pete Dunne. That triple threat, Io Shirai versus Toni Storm and Mercedes Martinez, the NXT Women's Championships. And the 2 finals of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classics, which will be Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez versus either Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon or The Way. And on the other side of things, MSK or Legado del Fantasma, I think we can probably assume it's going to be MSK in the finals, versus the grizzled young veterans, or Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa. A great show regardless, just really disappointing that we aren't getting this North American Championship match because the build has been iffy, but all we've been saying on the NXT previews and reviews, Andy, is, yeah, but it'll be a phenomenal match on the night.
It's kind of the WWE thing, isn't it? When you look at how talented the performers are, often when the story isn't great, you can go, hey, well, I mean, the match is going to be good, so in the end, maybe it'll all be worthwhile. Yeah, it does suck. It does suck. It would have been a really good match. Kushida's tremendous. Johnny Gargano in this heel version is very entertaining indeed. I wonder if maybe they'll come up with something else. Maybe something involving Theory. Maybe just throw like a karrion cross squash on there for the banter. That'd be good crack. Maybe they'll come up with something else. But hey, listen, I'm not going to complain about a 4-match card. I love short shows. so all 4 of those matches that remain are pretty killer. So hey, why not? Why not trim it down and go with what we have?
Yeah.
Speaking of stuff, but do you want to know how much money Bad Bunny has made in merch sales since debuting in WWE, I don't know, like a week and a half ago? This is ridiculous. $500,000. $500,000 is how much, over $500,000, sorry, is how much the Bad Bunny line of WWE merchandise has brought in on WWE's shop. This is a report from Fightful Select. It's an unfathomable sum for a guy who's only been around a week and a half. But then you look at the charts that Fightful have covered here. Bad Bunny's men's t-shirt, one of his men's t-shirt designs is number 1. His hoodie is number 2. His t-shirt in women's sizes, number 3, and his t-shirt in youth sizes, number 4. The only wrestler in WWE capable of breaking his stranglehold on the top 5 is Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns has an item at number 5. However, the thing about this Roman Reigns item at number 5 is that it has 5% the number of sales as Bad Bunny's top seller. Look, you don't have to enjoy Bad Bunny on TV, right? You don't have to enjoy the crossover of celebrities into wrestling. You don't have to enjoy him doing physical spots. You don't have to enjoy his music. You can have these subjective takes on all these matters. However, $500,000, Bad Bunny's good for WWE's business, evidently. But maybe, this shouldn't be a massive surprise. The guy has 48 million monthly listeners on Spotify. WWE in the month of January on Raw and SmackDown had a total of 18.7 million TV viewers. The guy's more popular than WWE. He's cooler than WWE. Personally, I'm not throwing Bad Bunny on my Spotify playlist anytime soon, but who cares, man? Celebrity crossovers with people who are actually in the zeitgeist and popular, and not 10 years removed from their coolness factor. This is the kind of stuff pro wrestling should really be doing more of if it wants to grow in popularity. So, hey, I think this is great, and I'm glad that the crossover's being such a success.
Yeah, exactly. Jaw-dropping amount that he sold, like you say. It may not necessarily be popping huge ratings for Monday Night Raw off the back of that, but those numbers cannot be sniffed at. I'm tempted to launch our own line of Bald Buddy t-shirts with Hugh Miller and Jules on it. if that sort of thing does pretty well. But let's be honest, we all know that next week we're going to be sat here, Andy, and saying that Nia Jax's My Hole t-shirts have sold $1 million worth. So there you go.
Yeah, love the whole effing show, man.
But speaking of Bad Bunny, Booker T has shot down rumours of him returning at WrestleMania 37 alongside the insane merch seller. He was talking on his Hall of Fame podcast, which again is one of the best podcasts out there that isn't ours, WhatCulture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcasts from. He said basically the circumstances would have to be right for him to make a comeback. Talking about Mania, he said, while I can say that it is 100% a rumour, I think it came from Meltzer. No one has talked to me about it as far as having a match at WrestleMania. No one has talked to me about tag teaming with Bad Bunny to go against anyone. I'm not going to be at WrestleMania in any capacity other than being behind the desk as of right now. Always, though, cards subject to change in professional wrestling. And the thing is, if there's an outside chance of me walking the aisle at WrestleMania, I would take it. I'd love to see Booker T back in the ring again. He seemed to suggest it's more likely he'd probably be on a Saudi Arabia show, which also makes a lot of sense. But yeah, if you're going to hoy a celebrity match on there with Bad Bunny, as much as he's been best friends with Damian Priest, I feel like Priest needs to really establish himself on his own on the main roster by having some other marquee match at WrestleMania. And yeah, if you're just going to have a match, particularly if he's going to take Miz and Morrison out of any other bollocks, this is something I'd like to see. So whilst he's saying no right now, he's saying no right now. And we're still, just under 2 months away from WrestleMania, Andy.
Yeah, absolutely. Saudi Arabia would make dollars and cents, but they aren't running those shows at the moment, of course. The one thing he says there, I think it was from Meltzer, was e-wrestling news. So just to clear that one up,
yes.
For anyone wondering where the rumour came from, it was Ryan Clark, I believe his name is. That's where that report came from. Interesting stuff. I'd like to see Booker T. Why the hell not? Have you seen the shape the guy's in? Have you seen his biceps? It's a no-brainer. Whether it's WrestleMania, whether it's anywhere else, I think it'd be cool. Who knows what he can do? He actually wrestled last year, bro. He had a match as G.I. Bro in his training school, so maybe he's in wrestling shape. I think it'd be fun.
I want to see a Spinneroonie. That would make me feel a lot better about the ongoing global bust. That's all I'll say. Right, let's move on to your Twitter questions. At WhatCulture WWE, of course, if you want to get in touch with us. First question today comes from Mad Pancakes on Twitter. It says, as the desire for seeing Goldberg in WWE is pretty low, could you see Goldberg wrestle his actual retirement match at WrestleMania 37? I'm not sure if he has much else to do in WWE, and they could have a this new star conquered the legend kind of story. Thoughts?
I think this would make sense, and I think a lot of people would be okay with it, Goldberg having a retirement match, but he's got this contract for like 2 matches a year, and to me, it seems like he's going to run that out. He's gonna work every day on that because it's a good payday, and Vince obviously sees him as a guy who can come in and try and boost business short term with little ratings pops and stuff. So I don't think we'll see it happen, but I think it would be a logical place for him to maybe say goodbye.
Yes, exactly. I don't think it's going to happen either. And like they're just going to squeeze all the juice they can out of that fruit. And yeah, if he enjoys it, I think that's fair enough. It's down to WWE to book him better. Maybe a tag team, just to change things up a little bit with someone who, I don't know, hasn't got any mates. Right, second question today comes from Seth Fracker, who says, do you think Nia Jax may have caused a new wave of restrictions on talent on what they can say mid-match with the My Hole burst? Also, small side question, why doesn't Simon Miller do any of the live streams since it's from home now? Seth, that's a really good question. We just haven't even thought about it. Do you know what I'll ask? I'll try and find out. We'll see if we can get Simon Miller on for an Elimination Chamber live stream next week. But yeah, do you reckon there's going to be some more slap wrist in WWE with talking during matches, Andy?
Well, they did censor it on the YouTube upload, and they deleted the match from the Hulu broadcast as well. So there is some evidence there to suggest that they didn't like this. However, I don't think so. I think they were probably already restricted from saying My Hole and things of that ilk between the ropes. I don't think we'll see any more. It's just a little thing. And, lots of people have been talking about it. And WWE needs more people talking about it. So I don't necessarily think they'll see it as a big bad thing, put it that way.
No. And I've got a final whole development to tell you about as part of the and finally. But yeah, I like it. Like Owens, for example, I love hearing what he says in between stuff before it was the whole, Roman Reigns monologue sort of thing. So I really hope they don't clamp down on that. And Yeah. If everyone's talking about WWE, and it's not doing any harm. And like you say, if you can get some merch out of it, clearly they'll stick with something like that. Lord KPS gives us our final question of the day, saying, which of these returns do you believe would result in the biggest pops and a spike in ratings? Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch, or Kairi Sane? I personally want Asuka versus Kairi Sane at WrestleMania 37. That would be great, but it's not going to happen, is it, Andy?
Yeah, unfortunately not, but it would be sick. Ratings, I don't feel comfortable giving you like my true answer without kind of going back and looking at recent ratings trends involving those wrestlers. I think that's the fairest way for me to answer that question. However, as far as like a pop goes, I think Becky, she's so beloved. In 2018, 2019, when she had that tremendous rise, she's like, it's like the closest thing WWE has come to like bottling Steve Austin or The Rock back in the day, or Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 30, or CM Punk in 2011. That kind of energy. She's universally beloved. I think she would get a mega pop. Kylie would get a great pop as well. So would Ronda, but the thing with Ronda was, like, a lot of people were like, oh, this is MMA person that paid her due. Like, a lot of people didn't like her work either, which I personally, I strongly disagree with. I thought she was tremendous. So I think all three of them would get a good pop, but I think Becky would be near the top. I'd like to see all of it. Can you imagine how ridiculous this division would be if it had those three in it as well, man? Insane.
Yeah, I'd love to see all three of them back. Kyrie would be sensational versus Asuka at WrestleMania, but we ain't getting that. We're more likely to get Lacey versus bloody Charlotte.
Yep.
I think Becky would get the biggest pop. I think Ronda would get the biggest ratings, if I'm perfectly honest. And I will say this about Becky. When she does decide to come back, and don't forget, she's only just had a kid. She will not, I don't think, be back before WrestleMania, but she could appear on like the Raw after WrestleMania, or something like that. Start thinking now, WWE, what you want her to do for the first 6 months she's back. Not, just bring her back and see what happens. Like you say, she is hot property when she comes back. You cannot just bring her back for a big pop and then go, we'll figure it out after that. Yeah. I want to know what you've got planned for her when she comes back, if, for example, immediate after WrestleMania, for the road up to and including SummerSlam, because you can't just bring her back and be like, it's Becky, we can just have her face anyone. No. Think ahead for once, WWE. You've done long-term storytelling with Nia Jax. You could do it again. Speaking of Nia Jax, let's move on to today's ad finally. And we sort of teased that this was going to happen. And like you say, this is one of the reasons why I don't think that she's going to be punished for it. Because Tushy founder Mickey Agrawal has offered Nia Jax, he wrote a letter to her, offering her one of their products, as well as an offer to be a brand ambassador for the B-Day company. Yes, 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 Andy.
Holes.
I saw what transpired last night during Raw. My condolences to your hole. That looked like it hurt. To help ease some of your pain, I'd like to send you a free Tushy 3.0 Spa B-Day to install. I mean, credit where it's due. That's spot on. That's
holes.
Wiping with dry tissue may irritate and damage the area further. There's your tip for the day. Right, let us know your thoughts on that and all of today's news stories in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. The Daily Wrestling Podcast, myself and the Danley Boys previewing the Wednesday Night War a little bit later on today. Plus, you can let us know your thoughts and Twitter questions on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. Watch there, follow both of us. You can follow Andy Murray at
Andy H. Murray. The H stands for Happy Birthday, Victoria.
Oh, great to see her back at the Raw. I want to see more of her. I said she could be a great interim title challenger for Sasha before WrestleMania, but who knows? If that was just the one time we'll see her back in WWE, God, it was great to see her. I love her. I think she's fantastic. Follow me on Twitter at Adam Wilborn. Happy birthday, Victoria. I forgot to say that. Follow us all at WhatCultureWWE. But for now, my thanks to Danny Murray. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.